afternoon, everyone. We have entered into Blue Table Talk podcast, and I want to welcome you here tonight. I'm your host, Deborah Jones, along with my co-host, Toya Ozan. And we have tonight, we're starting with our school board election. So, are you a baby? So anyway, we saw our school board election, and so tonight we have on the podcast we have school board trustee of District 4, Kevin Reese. So before we talk with him, we'll speak with him. Let me go ahead and tell you, early voting has started, and thank you, it has. And so it started on yesterday, a good number. So don't forget, go out there and vote, cast your ballot. We're not only voting for city election, we also voting for school board. So we got to throw that in as well. So early voting started yesterday, like I said, and it's going to go all the way to Friday this week, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're going to come, and then we're going to go to Saturday, which is the 29th, from 8 to 5. Also, we're going to go on Sunday, from the pew to the pole, from 12 to 5. And then we're going to come back the following week, which will be 2 days, May the 1st and May the 2nd. And the polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., giving you a lot of time to go out there and vote. So don't just think that you're just voting for the city election. You're also voting for school board. And so, like I said, let's keep everybody in prayer. Let's make sure this is a smooth race, because it is a critical race. And so because your city is more than your national, because we have to live with these people. And so we live with them, and they do the right thing. We hold them accountable for what they say. Then the city election and the school board will be unified and come as one. So tonight we have on the podcast tonight, we have Kevin Reese. Hey, Kevin, how are you tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. Just got off the polls at 5 o'clock.
All right now. All right. Were you there all day?
Yes, ma'am.
Great job. Okay, I'm so sorry, LaToya. I forgot to say hello to you. And Toya.
Yes, ma'am. How you doing?
Toya, well, I forgot to say hello to you. I just called your name, but I forgot to say hello to you. We're gonna
talk
to
everyone.
Yes, we're gonna talk to Kevin tonight. And Kevin, you're running for re-election, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, great job. So go ahead and introduce yourself. Give us a synopsis of yourself, and
okay.
not very little.
Been school board trustee since the takeover. Since after the takeover, that's when I first was elected. I'm a parent. I have a graduating senior at BU. And if y'all can hear it in the background,
that's not the person who's graduating, the one crying, huh?
Ma'am.
Is that the one graduating, the one who's crying?
No, that's the two twins.
Twins?
Yes, ma'am. I had twins October 4th.
All right.
All of a sudden, they was falling asleep. They got real fussy. So I was,
oh yeah.
Right at the time that we was about to come on, it was cool and fine. And all of a sudden, they got fussy. So I got laying down, just keeping an eye on them.
And when one cries, the other cries.
Seems like it.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead and give us a synopsis about yourself. Oh, so I guess they're still crying.
Giving voice to those don't have one. I really care about the kids, you know. And that's really that's the only reason why I'm here. That's the only reason I'm out there on the campaign trail, because it's not something that you get paid for. It's something you gotta want to do. And a lot of times, seems like right now, just working with a few members who don't necessarily feel like that. It's not throwing anybody on the bus, but I mean, it's just my real feel on what's going on with the district and why things are a little stagnant. It's not much else. Work at UPS. All my parents, all my grandmother, aunties, mom, all educators, all worked in the school district. My grandmother retired from BISD. And my mom also retired from BISD. Other than that, I'm a graduate from Westbrook BISD product, and I'm just trying to give back. Just trying to just trying to better for those that came after me. And that's my main goal, just whatever it is. I don't have a one focus. My focus is to help those that need help, lead them in the right direction. Just be there. Fix this broken system that we seem to be having.
So, what is your top need for BISD?
Say it again.
What is your top need for BISD?
I think the top need for, as far as it comes from the board perspective, we need more. The board needs to come together, and we need some accountability for the superintendent. You know, my opinion, and it's not just my opinion. A lot of the board just wants to be there, see what's on the plate, and pretty much, lack of a better word, just give the superintendent whatever she wants. I have an example. We came for a vote. Just to sum it up, we came for a vote. It was a vote to extend classroom sizes. TEA puts a limit on that and say, anything over, teachers gonna have a hard time with discipline, have a hard time teaching. And so we came in, and initially the board voted it down. The board, as an entity, voted down giving her permission to extend that classroom size. So the superintendent showed a little disgust. She was mad, expressed it, and then a board member called for a revote, which is legal if one of the winning party calls for a revote. Then we can, and they revoted and voted down purely because the superintendent got mad. But we, the board, as a group, without talking to each other, we decided no. But like I said, with that action, that's something that happened in front of the public. That's what happened during the meeting in front of everybody. Meetings are not really well attended, so it's not something that got out. It would just show to me the wishy-washy of the board, not really sure of what they're supposed to be doing. Period.
So you just said that TEA wanted a larger increase in the classroom.
No, the superintendent wanted to increase over the size that the TEA sets. I think it's 22. That's the classroom size. And when they came before the board, like I said, without no conversation, without anybody talking to each other, because we just, it was just put on our lap that week before the board. We get the board book, and like I said, without anybody having a quorum outside the building, the boardroom, not any of that, the board decided as a group of 7 to not allow her to extend those classroom sizes over 22. But like I said, after the vote was cast, the superintendent showed some displeasure in that vote, in that verdict, and a board member put it back up for vote right afterwards, and it was voted in. They allowed her to extend those classroom sizes, and that purely on the disposition of the superintendent, when better judgment thought otherwise in the beginning.
Now, 22 is a good number. Yeah. Even up to 25 is a good number for a classroom. Mm-hmm. Anything over 25, it needs to be broken down, because I remember I'm a former educator. Mm-hmm. And I had 30 kids in my class at one time, but you can't teach all of 30 kids, because there are some kids gonna have you're gonna have discipline problems. So one of the board members came in, and they went back and they reduced the classes at that time. So,
okay. Yeah. So like I say, some teachers say they can't teach that many. Some say they can't. But I'm just going back to it's a TEA rule, set in place to help to better the classroom, in their opinion. I wasn't there when they made it, but I think when you get, like you just said, you get over 25, over this many, then we should that should be looked at.
I actually have something to say about that. I have a friend that's an educator, mm-hmm. and I want to say she has maybe 22 to 23 students, and her issue is she's not trained to deal with behavior issues like these kids have, so she's really frustrated, and she mm-hmm. feels as though she needs an aide because she doesn't have one, and or either she needs someone who she says she's not she is not trained to deal with what she's dealing with. So she feels that it's too many kids
Yeah,
in her
so
class.
I
It's,
don't in TA they not thinking that we're gonna be having the teachers do the discipline. They making these rules saying that a student cuts up, sent to class, the principal they deal with them, the administration some kind of way while the teacher continues to teach, and the teacher ain't gonna. I mean, they ain't putting these rules in place thinking that that kid's gonna be sent back to the class, so back and forth and continue to be able to disrupt. So yeah, no teachers are trained. They're supposed to be trained for that. That's not the way it's set up. And I think there's just something that started taking place under and not to keep bringing up the past, under the board of managers, that they started doing things like that or operating like that.
you're not trained to control the discipline. You have to go in there knowing that you could discipline, not discipline. You can take these children who have discipline problems. You got to know what to do, because there is no such thing as training me to control the discipline.
Yeah.
You got to know that you know how to take care of these children.
Yes.
Everybody's not going to come in there. Even the new teachers, they're coming in there not knowing that, okay, I have 25 students in my classroom. So I know one or two of them will be discipline problem. But
Yeah.
you have to know how to take care of that child. You got to meet that child's need.
Yep.
Maybe you got to know why that child is disciplined. Maybe because he needs more work, or she needs more work, or maybe something might be going on. But you got to know how to control your classroom when you go into that classroom. It's not
And
it's not thinking I'm going to discipline school. No, there's no
no,
such.
I think I worded it wrong, incorrectly. She has like a lot of children with ADHD, ADAD, and who she doesn't, that type of problem. Not just kids because they're just being bad or they're acting out. Kids
She's
who
in the
have like,
classroom full of kids that may have behavioral problems, and
yeah,
that's what you're saying. Yeah. And as far as not everybody can deal with discipline. I mean, I'm pretty sure we can find some great teachers that are phenomenal. You can't even match them, but they can't deal with the discipline at
Yeah.
all. But they can teach way better than these other teachers that can,
yeah.
run that hybrid model. But like I say, I think teachers are there for discipline areas. That's what the office is there for. Those
Mm-hmm.
issues. If they're disrupting the class, you can't have them in the classroom.
They
And I
have to
would
be
think
removed.
I think
That's state law. They have to be removed.
Yeah, I think they and everybody, other people want to say, oh, we can only do this, we can only keep the kid out the classroom this long. No, it ain't keeping out the classroom in a different classroom. You may have, if we having the discipline problems as it seems, you have to restructure these classrooms, restructure how you're doing it. We're not saying keep these kids out of school, not saying get back in the newspapers with suspending kids uh more than any district around. No, they've been talking initiatives. We've been going to board training. They're talking about adding more counselors, trying to figure out why the kids are behaving like this. I mean, we've done everything else. We suspended them. We did this. We've sent them to the office, sent them back, sent them to pathways. But in the course of that, how many times did we find out why they were doing it? Sometimes, I mean, we all were young. We knew people who act out just because they didn't get things at home or they didn't get their attention. You know, could have a tragedy in the family, anything. People go, there's so many things that go on, in the home that, yeah, we ain't supposed to be there raising the kids. But when we get them, we got to deal with them when we have them. We have to deal with them when we have them. And we got to figure out a way to do it. We can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again. That's why you need open-minded. You need some big thinkers. This is an issue that needs to be looked at and not just along the normal lines. Like I say, using some of the initiatives and some of the suggestions that they're having now, like I say, trying to find out and deal with the trauma that these kids may be facing. I mean, what else are we going to do? We can keep asking for the parents. Some of the parents can't deal with the kids. Some of them too busy. So we have to do our part one way or another if we want to educate them, because we can keep crying about the parents and having them come and need them to do this. some of them, like I said, never show up, never call.
Yeah.
But the kids are coming to school. We got the room. We want them in school because of the money, because of this. But then we need to take care of it as the district. We get paid to do it. Take care of it as a district and find out. Some kids you go in bed to help, some you can't. But throwing a blanket over and trying to deal with the situation, trying to deal with each kid the same is where you're gonna run into the problem. They say you can't catch all the fish with the same bait. You know.
Let me cut you off for a minute and let me speak to my viewers right now. Hello, viewers. How you doing tonight? Thank you for joining us on Blue Table Talk, and we will accept concerns, and we're talking to Kevin Reese, who is running for school board, District 4. So we will accept your questions if you want to ask Kevin Reese any questions tonight. So I have one person, Isaac Mouton, who says staff has no leverage to discipline. Kids know that they are not going to be held accountable for any actions they commit.
I mean, I don't understand, how would they know that, and
they know it.
Why there's no consequences? That has something to do with administration, if there's none. And then I guess what's that to go to? I mean, if the administration can't figure it out, maybe they need to file a grievance. The parents of kids that's in those classrooms that are being affected when the kids have discipline, if their child is coming home and complaining of this and complaining of that, then my suggestion as a school board trustee is they need to file a grievance on them. So this won't keep getting brushed under the rug. Because we're not really hearing some of these little extras and these tidbits that's going on. We don't hear it. And if it's been going on and you've been complaining to the administration or on Facebook or to your friends and nothing has changed, we'll give it a chance. Give me a chance. Because the grievance process is something I did change. It took a couple of elections, the changing of some board members, but I've finally garnered the support and we've changed it to where we hear the grievance at level 3. And something like that may seem trivial, but it's really not, because that's why the classrooms are like they are, these little issues. And I guess the bad kids' parents are not going to come in there and file a grievance and complain about it because their kids are the one cutting up. But the affected kids could. Small example, my daughter at BU, she was complaining last year that they had a sub and the sub wasn't teaching. They were just in there on their phone. So I brought it to the superintendent and the accident told her about it. And I told her, don't move her out the classroom, because the other kids that are in that classroom, they're going to still be affected by it. So what they came up with, and we're no longer doing it right now. I think they advanced it. We're doing like a substitute support program to where we were giving stipends to teachers if they would videotape some lessons. I think it was like $200 per lesson and things like that, to be able to be played in that classroom. And, you got the sub in there, you got the lesson in there, and the sub can assist, help out, of course, keep order in the classroom, but help with the instruction part if need be. Because a lot of times the subs are not certified. And I have friends and they put in departments. They may be going to school to be a teacher, but they put in departments where it's needed, and they may not have the expertise in that. So again, having a high-performing teacher be required different lessons as need be. And it worked for a little while, but like I said, I believe they advanced it. See, the board's not privy and does not deal with the day-to-day problems of the district. We deal with policy and the direction and the vision, but like the CEOs. So I know that they advanced and did something. I'm just not familiar with the exact program because I didn't have my hands in it. It's not my department. A lot of times, and the only way we can, again, really get involved in some of these things and won't be called it with micromanaging is the grievance process. If they can't figure out by step 1 and 2, then it's going to come to us, and the board we will decide as a governing body what needs to be done, since the problem couldn't be handled at the step 1 or step 2 level.
So what is your? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just saying that's good to know, because as a parent, I had to deal with that with my kids that were, they couldn't learn. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know when, I went to the principal, but I didn't know that we could file a grievance for stuff like that.
You could, but at that time, when you were going through that though, mm-hmm. with the board of managers there, they wasn't hearing no grievance. They just delegating it out to another administrator.
Mhm.
And a lot
Okay.
of times, the reason, I've even seen it, the top administrator would hear the grievance first on that campus. Sometimes the top administrator was the one person was complaining about. So it just makes the process, it just dirties the process, just makes it dysfunctional, you know. But that's the process. You do that. We go to step 2, another administrator here, and then it would be then the third, if they couldn't figure it out again, they couldn't do it again on the third time, the board would delegate that to another administrator, and they pretty much would come back with the same decision they came back for 1 and 2. Rarely ever, never did it ever change. But now it's different. It has changed. We were warned that if y'all change it, that you're going to start hearing grievances out the door. No, we're not, because y'all gonna want to fix that. In my mind, I'm saying, no, you're not, because you're not gonna want to let that keep getting to us, that there are these issues that y'all grown-ups can't solve. They can't come to some type of agreement on these issues. So a lot of times the parents are not trying to down the dish. They just trying to take up for their kid. They're not trying to drag the dish to the mud soon. They just want their kid to learn. That's why a lot of times they don't complain. They don't really feel like it's going to work or it's going to make any difference. But it will. It will if you have the right people in place. It will if you have the right people in place. And that's the other thing. That's why voting is very important. Who you vote for, vetting that person, finding out what they're about, all that matters. The city, the school board, there's no difference. We're just dealing with different issues.
So we've been talking about that. So what is your vision towards education for the community?
My vision towards education, first is because it seems like, because nowadays you hear more. I heard it in school sometime, school not for me. But I'm hearing it more and more and more and more. And in my mind, I think, well, school's not for you. Just like some people say they don't vote, they don't discourage. I mean, what is? You're not part of the process. You're not going to be involved. And if school is not for you, if learning's not for you, I mean, really, how far in this country can you go when you need pieces of paper just to prove that you know something? Very seldom will you get a job on merit and because, oh yeah, I know how you get an internship and then you get the job. A lot of times it's not how it's going.
You had it. Well, I have actually, when people knew that Kevin was coming on, they sent me questions. So I do have quite a few questions to ask him.
Go ahead.
One thing was, what is going on with Beaumont PD and why are we losing officers?
Well, really, it's what's going on with BISD PD.
I'm sorry, BISD. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Trying to see how I can answer that without giving any black eyes. Let's see. The different officers, I've got feedback from them that have quit complaining of different things. They claimed of how things were done. They complained I think they're on like a 235. They complained of how long they worked, even during the summer. A lot of people who want to come and work for the Beaumont and BISD PD are retired officers and things like that. And so they've already worked. They're coming in and serve again, but they're not trying to work 365. They're not trying to work all year. Not trying to work on holidays. So I know that was an issue. We've been steadily losing officers for quite a bit of time. I think we're down to 5. Earlier this year, I think it was at 11. Or was that December? Somewhere it was at 11. And it just kept trickling down. I think nobody's really looking at, and maybe there's a problem with just how they run it. Basically, like I said, I'm not trying to give anybody any black eyes right off the jump. They ask me again, I might tell them what I think is going on. Really, really, I just think a lot needs to get looked up the structure of the department. It's changed a lot since it was first created. I got one. Officers complain that because officers that are administrators, somehow in the bylaws during the state takeover, it was changed that they don't have to go out and patrol. They don't have to go out and help. So basically, I've been asking, because it was brought up last meeting, I've been asking, we need to go ahead and look at that then. And that needs to be changed. It's just something that was brought to my attention. I didn't read it. some affected employees over the few past months. They're the ones who brought that to my attention. And I just say that because, and reason why I'm kind of skeptical with the black eye, I was accused of on a witch hunt. Like I was just after them. This is not the case. I'm not on witch hunt on anybody, but if there's an issue, there's a problem, it has to be looked at, regardless if I'm friends with that person or not, or if I like them or not, if I support them or not. And that's the only way you're going to get better. If you just let your kids get away with everything, we see what that is. But if you hold them, you see what's going on. But we know parents that hold their kids accountable, and they're not part of the fighting. They're not part of the skipping and things that's going on. So,
okay, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, you good.
This came from a student.
Okay.
Wait a minute. She feels they need to wait a minute. How does she put this? Include more race diverse lessons in history classes rather than just teaching about Black history only during those months. Also, showcase more Black history figures instead of prioritizing the same few that they have been doing since they were in elementary. Stop whitewashing history. And they feel that she feels as they get older, they need to go into more depth about the facts of Black history. And she wants to know, what are your opinion on that?
Oh, I totally agree. I totally agree. But what I was sitting here as I was listening, because that's another thing that I'm aware of. There's so many issues, and really was thinking, how do we go about that? How do I help get this out, like to the rest of the board and others, that this is a concern? First, I would say that, like I say, I'm for it. So my suggestion would be taking that question or taking that to a board meeting and expressing that in front of everyone. Maybe even having 2 or 3 students doing the same thing, coming to the board, let them know this is something that students that we really care about.
Yeah.
Also, even their parents can come if their parents have the same concerns and the thoughts. That's really where it starts. It's just getting that out, because again, there's so much going on, and then the board doesn't deal with day to day. And this is a young board. I think I'm one of the 3 senior members. I think we've been on there 6 years. Because the first 2, then 4, and then this would be, first off, it started with everybody at 2 years, and then it went to the 4. That's just how it initially started off. And they did it with matter of fact. But I'm gonna be honest, I can't really exactly remember. But we served 2 years at first, and then it went to the 4.
Okay.
But like I say, and saying that is, we are a young board. We still not unified. When we were supposed to be going through training, COVID came. So there's a lot of things that some of the new board members just not privy to, information they hadn't had. And that's why I say coming to the board meetings, expressing that. I mean, it's not that you can file a grievance to, but if you can, and call your board members, because I believe that's something we vote on. We can vote on the curriculum and things like that, because that's vision and direction. If we want the curriculum to go more towards that direction, then that's a board decision. So I would say also come to speak, and then reaching out to the board members individually, talking to them, send letters. If this is something that there's a large population of the students and parents are concerned of, we need to start getting that flooding in, so we can know. It's just a lack of information on these issues. Because in school, I would think we thought the same way.
How often does a school board member, or all you guys, walk through a schoolhouse to see what's going on? I mean, it's not so hearsay stuff. You need to know this firsthand.
And they're always asking. I think, and just to be honest, I think as a board member, that's why I'm lacking. Because I work a 9 to 5. That's when school's in. And a few times when I was off, none this year. In the past I have, but been working a lot with these kids. And so that is where I'm lacking. And I do think board members need to go and do a walkthrough. I mean, they're asking. When you have your voters, when you have the employees asking you and come in the street, you should just come look. We need to.
Yeah.
But like I said,
that's a good question.
I'm not, and not throwing it. most of the board members are retired. I think 3 of us still working.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say, I mean, maybe our retired board members should take the initiative and go look.
They need to take that initiative and that look.
Yeah, I mean, it's something the community asking. And the whole thing is community don't really hold nobody accountable. You know, you would think sometimes vote change hands, you know, people change seats. It's not it's because maybe their friend got on the ballot. We're not holding our elected accountable. We're not knowledgeable enough of what our elected are doing, regardless of the city or the school district. I just don't think people are really aware.
Because I remember Mr. Williams, Terry Williams was always in the school district. But let me ask you this: do you have to get permission? Because I've heard that. Do you have to get permission from the superintendent?
Nope.
To go to the schools?
Who was over the superintendent?
No, I thought so, but that was just something that
they want you to.
Yeah,
and that was something that was told. To, but no, you don't have to.
So okay.
And this is the real thing, you know. Unless it's Star, and it's just taking it real rugged. If I was just being a bully, unless there's a test going on, you can go there. You can go on any school, campus, building, period.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they give you all. Go there to observe the look. You're not going, going there to. Now, if you're going there to cut up, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Because they have really stopped parents from going in the schools.
The parents want to come and cut up.
Well, I mean some, but the ones that truly don't want to, the ones that want to be able to assist, I think they should, as long as they pass that background check and they sign up and do everything properly. I think they should be allowed to go into the schools.
And
that's my opinion.
They can go into the school, but not go in there with willy nilly. You know what I mean? Trying to that person. Let me tell you, back when I was teaching earlier, some of the parents used to come to school and go walk in the classroom. That was rude.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. You just don't do that. You don't do that. So. They never walked in my room. I guess because I wasn't a bully or anything like that. Just not gonna walk in my room. I'm teaching your child. If you want your child, then call them to the office and get your child. But they never walked in my room like that. But back to the school board trustee. They have some people on here that have asked some questions. Isaac Mouton said, what is happening proactively to keep our kids safe in school? School shootings are high in the country. Multiple threats throughout the year. And the response from staff has been one of confusion. My kids' high school had a threat, and the teachers and staff were not on the same page. Seems as if we are not prepared. We can't hear you.
While we're trying to get Kevin in, do you want me to type what people are asking, what people have sent in so you can read it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that.
All right.
Okay.
He's gonna have to come back. He's gonna go out and come back in. Thank you guys for asking these questions because this is a serious issue. We have our school board, which is the top, and they need to know how we feel about situations. Well, yeah, we don't go to school board meetings, so they are unaware of what's going on in the schools. So I know I have a lot of educators on here. So why don't you type in the question what you want to ask the school board? Kevin, he's coming back on now, and then we can get it fixed to that. Let me see. Talk to me.
Can y'all hear me?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I don't know what happened. I don't know.
There was
maybe because phone calls keep coming in, just messing up the
right.
or something like that. Or maybe because I was walking, I was kind of pacing.
Yeah, you've been walking all night.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I thought I was gonna be able to be relaxed, but then the baby started crying. But then my daughter came in and I think it helped finish consoling them. So y'all really couldn't hear anything. I thought it was gonna be cute if I could have them beside me doing little gagas and coos, but they started cutting up. So we were talking about going on campus, and parents. Yeah, for a volunteer. Before I got on the board, I signed up to be a volunteer. You just send out the form.
He want to know about what is happening proactive to keep our kids safe.
Yeah. So what is happening? So it's been mandated down that we have to do these drills. It's called the safeties and security community. We have to. They're supposed to just randomly trying to see if you can get into the school during school. Supposed to be doing this in real time, just to see if we can do it. Where's the breaches? Where can we just had a report at the board meeting that was saying about I forgot exactly what they called it. It was a report on how vulnerable the campus was. So there's steps been put in place, and this just happened November, December, that this was mandated because of the increase in violence. So what they were doing was, we're just starting. The school district is starting. Some are ahead of us, but we really haven't had those issues. That may be why nobody was really on it or paying attention. But the thing is being proactive now. So there are a number of things that are going. I went to a training, the school governance training. They're suggesting those vinyls where you can see out but not in on the windows. They suggest even raising the windows. Schools are built for education. So those long hallways, but those long hallways, you can see one end to the other. They're suggesting creating another barrier, another set of doors, offsetting classroom doors. There are a lot of things in place, but it's going to cost money. It's changing the school structurally. If you have multiple interests, it's going ahead and locking those multiples down. Still keeping the school accessible, but some schools have 4 and 5 ways to get in them. Well, they're having to control that. And this is mandated down, and this is the advice that was given in that governance class I was in, and they're talking about it. They got badges, supposedly. I think they call them PAC badges, where they'll know where you at all times. You tap it once, that's an alert. You tap it twice, it does something different. So these measures, as a district, we haven't gotten those in, but we are doing the studies on the campuses, seeing how vulnerable they are, doing walkthroughs on that level. I don't know, and the vestibules. They got those where you come in one door, you ring the buzzer, and they ring you in. We're creating more of those at the high schools that the schools that don't have them, because all the new schools that we built, they have them. Because I guess there was already something that was being talked about and was being suggested to schools. That's why the new schools have those dual layered entries. So those are the things that we're changing. And just being honest, we as a district hadn't started some of these more profound changes. But as far as securing the grounds and things like that, those are the things we're doing right at this point. And the drills is going to get the teachers and the students on the same page, or those drills, just like fire drills and things like that. But I'm thinking, like I said, I'm not there for the day-to-day. But I'm understanding it's kind of hard for them to do the drills because they really don't have control of the campuses, some campuses or some classrooms.
So how often do you guys meet? Y'all only meet for meetings, or do y'all meet all?
We meet once a month. That's the was put in, but we can meet. There's a certain number of meetings that we can have, but we can have workshops and things like that. I've been trying to push that. Board members said we need them, we interested, but we never do them. We've only had one workshop so far this school year as the board. More workshops, ma'am.
Where's District 4?
District 4 is south of Washington. It extends to Terrell Park. It goes down the Garden Road.
Okay.
Yeah, that's generally the area.
That's like the Fournette area, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Perry Busby, thank you, Perry, for putting this on. Thank you, Isaac. Perry Busby says, let me show it. What community organizations are the district partnering with to prepare students for current and future labor market skills?
I mean, what community organizations do we have down here? I don't really know of any. We got neighborhood associations, but we partner with different businesses. Mobile is a big one. And trying to remember some of the other ones offhand. We have a lot of sponsors, and we just had a sponsor and volunteer appreciation. And at this last meeting, we talked about some of the sponsors. I already talked about some of the sponsors that we have to work with. But as far as community, I don't really know of any community organizations that I know they have a few. I think Charlton Pollard, they're involved. They have a lot. They come in and they really look at Charlton Pollard and keep a what's the word, interest in that, because that's kind of like an alma mater to them.
That's what Mobile all, right?
Ma'am.
That's what Exxon Mobil, right?
Who?
Are you talking about Exxon Mobil?
No, I was talking about the Charlton Pollard Community Association, neighborhood association. I hear about them doing, being around the schools. I just don't really hear too many other neighborhood associations. I mean, community associations out there that that's viable enough for the school district to partner with. I mean, I think that's where another thing comes in place. I see that they're trying to start some more neighborhood associations. I just talked to a lady at the polls. She's talking about she had the bylaws and things for the Pear Orchard neighborhood association. I got a number and name. So we're interested, if I remain on the board, interested in working with Mr. Durio and others to try and start that up. And then so we can go into the schools. Can I take the example? Like I said, I hope I'm not. I just don't know any others, and maybe that's bad on my part. They're just not making enough noise, but they're out there helping. I mean, there's a lot of volunteers, a lot of parents. I just don't know of one organization, like I said, that out there that we partner with. I don't know.
Victoria says, why did Lucas get in such bad shape? Who is responsible for that? And do have other schools that are in jeopardy and being shut down that you know of?
And that's another thing. A lot of knowledge like that comes to the board late. It was like 8.4 million. It actually was on the last board meeting. It was 8.4 million that would take to bring it up. I mean, the school and the structure, everything is the original school. Do they have a dual entrance? I don't even. I'm sitting there and tell you I don't, because that was before me. I don't even know what work they did on the school during the bond to if they made any improvements to it. I'm not familiar with that. Like I said, it may be look bad on me as a board member, but I'm being honest, I don't know. But a few things I do know. But yeah, so it's the damages. And then the other thing, it's not going to be a high impact. Everybody that goes to Lucas, that's their first year. That's pre-K, and then they're going to their whatever school they usually go to. That was just them bringing a big pre-K program together, and they used Lucas. Then it wasn't actually being used for any other schools. And I think that's what it was. It just wasn't in use at that time. Kind of like what happened with Central. Instead of making any improvements, they just got a new gym built, instead of messing with the structure. And that structure was 100 years old. And the right storm come through, and it messed it up. I mean, it messed up the school, and we ended up having to close it. But the plans are not to leave it like that. It's just right now, instead of spending the money on it, we're going to keep it up, because that's the other thing I asked, because I live right by Price. They kind of just let the school go down. But with a little complaining, I'm able to get, they're starting to cut the yard properly, edge the fence. So what I said was, this is a viable property. We may want to sell it in the future, or keep it or reutilize it. We just don't let it go down. Just don't let it dilapidate. So we want to keep it going, per se. We're going to keep the building. We're going to keep the building alive. We're going to keep the air on in there and like that. But as far as just fully utilizing, it's not until come up with a better solution plan, or like everybody keep mentioning a bond to be able to make some of these changes as needed.
Yeah.
I mean, they're fixing Austin because of they're fixing another school that maybe has sat around a little bit, the upstairs, just to accommodate more students for pathways.
April said Lucas is not that bad in shape. It's just an old campus. It's like the annex building in England.
Yes.
So
they've been
around forever. So just like old landmark, Yeah.
So they're not tearing it down. Like I said, it's just really the potential for it to get worse. And right now, it's some things that need it. And without looking at the budget, it claims that we don't have the money, or maybe it's not smart to spend the money on that right now. and spend in other places because we do have other financial issues that we need to be taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
So I was on the ropes about that. So I asked as a board member that, and at the meeting I did, that we treat those teachers with a little more respect, that the school's not being closed because of academics, it's being closed because of structure, which falls on our heads. The administration and us, and the board. So with that being said, I take the blame for it, and I'm willing to take suggestions from the community from now and later to suggestions, and I bring them to the board, bring them to the superintendent.
So you saying we need to go to board meetings sometimes, right?
And sometimes we need to go to board meetings a lot.
All the time.
All the time.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you get sometimes people feel like nobody really cares, and then maybe that's why certain decisions are made and things like that.
I think y'all just make it behind our backs and then bring it forth and say, okay, now we're closing down Lucas tomorrow.
Yeah, no, it was
it's been in the process.
It's been I think we heard about it maybe last month. And that was the other thing I asked. How did we inform from last month to now? How did we inform, people that was going on? Well, and that's where it came to my knowledge that there's no really affected students or parents. Because you go 1 year and you're done. You go to kindergarten. So as far as getting out and letting people know, they didn't really feel like that was a issue or important enough because it's not like a campus that holds multiple grades.
And they really had a great program.
Say it again.
I said the program there was really great at Lucas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, from my understanding.
Yeah.
And so hopefully, they keep that tradition and bring that greatness to the individual pre-K programs that would be, opening up or expanding at the other schools. Because they're not closing the pre-K program, just not gonna consolidate it at Lucas.
It's just gonna go into other schools.
Yes, and again, this is a day-to-day issue that was, that the board is not privy to because we don't do day-to-day issues. It's not a policy, it's not a vision in per se for the district. It's a vision for that campus, and and maybe that's why we find out so late, which we still express displeasure at, and we would like to know a little ahead of time so we can better answer some of these questions from the community, and maybe we can reach out through like I said, we get these neighborhood associations going, reach out and be able to inform the public what's going on for those who may be concerned. And sometimes the concern may be unfounded because, like I said, to my understanding, there are no affected BISD students or, and families because it's a 1-year campus at PK.
Right now, the STAR test is going on. And so the STAR test is a requirement.
Yeah.
All students have to pass the STAR test in order to graduate from high school. What resources would you commit to ensure our students' success?
What resources? Then we need to have, people don't say we don't want to teach the test or study for the test. I think, basically when we did the STAR, I know things are different. We just did the curriculum, the regular curriculum, and that was covered in the STAR. I mean, it wasn't that you're supposed to get all the questions or reach the end. If you did, that was good. But, that's not, just because you don't finish don't mean you're not going to pass STAR. Just because you don't finish the whole test. So it may be, some equations, something on there, some problems that you may have not gotten to, you don't know about. But that's one of those tests they're trying. It's an assessment. They're trying to find how much you know.
I think I have a whole page of what I'm getting ready to read now of questions about this. What is going on with the special ed and 504? Why are administrators being held accountable for not sticking to the accommodations that are put in place for the kids? These are not my questions.
Again, the lack of knowledge. Now, recently, I have been contacted by parents who have been affected by shortcomings in the special ed program, and my advice is always file a grievance. Don't wait. file the grievance. This is an issue. You know, I mean, special ed, that's a very touchy subject when we were already kind of in the
Right.
hot seat for it. File a grievance. It's not gonna. It's official paperwork. They can't cover it up. If you go in and you just talk to them in the office and they're not doing anything about it, which it kind of happens, you know. When they come to me, how long this problem been going on? A couple of months. File a grievance. I probably won't even hear it anymore. They're gonna fix it. You have to go through the proper steps, just like with anything. You have to go through the proper steps. So a lot of rumors was going on. Being that their rumors are not unfounded. I don't really have a problem saying them, but it may be inappropriate. At my level, voicing issues that I've heard that I have not backed up or got any substantial evidence, except for parents expressing their complaints with me. So I know the director over special ed that we had, after a year he resigned and went to a better job, a better paying, I heard the position paid more. So with that, and the question I had to the superintendent was, okay, now that he left, did his vision leave? Did what he was doing leaving? And or are we just scrapping and starting over? And she said, they'll continue with the program. They have another head that we hired. And I just kind of sat back because I think it was November, December that I actually put that on the agenda to look at that. I put it on Miss Spooner and my dad. It just happened. I was talking to them both. I was out of town, like I said, with the birth of my babies. And so these are things that I heard complaints about, and I wanted to get it on the agenda. So when I was out of town, I put things on the agenda. The first month. And the second month, I didn't because I wasn't there. Some things were very important. I wasn't there to vote on them. And I didn't want to risk putting them on the agenda and leaving them up to everybody else without, me being able to say my piece on what's going on.
How have things changed since the takeover?
It's been slow, and that's the problem. It's been a slow change with the takeover. It's been really slow. And like I said, just to the things I said in the beginning, I think it just goes to the checks and balances, accountability with the superintendent. Just, remind them that we are her bosses. And, we shouldn't have to put everything on the agenda to be privy to the information that's going on. So the only changes that I can really think of, that affect everybody is the grievance process. Since the takeover, we reformed the Beaumont PD. The BISD PD a little bit. We found out there were a few deficiencies there, not many, but that was something else that we actually got an audit of it, and he gave some suggestions on things that we should do. When we did that, that's something that's different. What else? I'm trying to fish. As far as the significant changes, can't really see any too much except for the programs we're starting. Since the takeover, I think we're trying to start our own charter program instead of having to give the school over to a different body that maybe not from here. That we implement. I forgot even what it's called. My bad. I'm doing this on the fly, but we have a process to implement. I think it's called ACE. I think they call it ACE, to go in and try to turn those schools around. So as far as those some of the programs, and those purely coming from the superintendent, Ms. Allen, So she has a lot of great ideas. It's just getting them implemented. But other than that, I can't really see too much change except for that the community per se is back in control of the district. That's how they call it. When the state take over, they're taking out of the community hands, the voters' hands. They appoint people to the board, and they make all the decisions. So that's about it I can think. I wish I had more.
Okay, so I know everybody on here who are educators, they're waiting for this question to for me to ask this question. Let me see. What are your views on educators' salaries and benefits? Are they going to increase this year or next year, or what? Are benefits going to be better?
They were my views and my predictions, because they should know I've been pushing for them to get a raise. I've been pushing for them to get a raise since I found out that they were making so little. I've been pushing for that, having to get this core. I've been pushing. I'm all for educators' rate. I really wanted a freeze on administrative hiring and pay. Yeah, I wanted that. I'm really for that. I think teachers, that's some of the building blocks of society. They don't want most students. I don't care if it's private school, public school. They going through the halls of some school to learn. I mean, they do have homeschooling. Oop, this phone's gonna die. They do have homeschooling, and hold on, I got to plug this thing up. So I'm just using that to say, but I'm for the pay hike, and for what I understand, most of the board is, and we're gonna start, just kind of periodically trying to remind, we need these salaries to come up. We need these salaries to come up. That's the only way we're gonna be able to compete. That's the only way we're gonna be able to get it done. We can't just expect people to work for nothing, especially if you ask them to do more. And teachers are unpaid anyway. I think, like Bernie Sanders say, the teachers should be making at least $60,000. Period. Bottom line.
Why is the school coming in? Jones Clark. I know it's not Jones Clark anymore. I don't know the name of school, and they're paying like 75.
Yes, that's Third Future. That's the new charter school.
Yes,
that's the new charter program. Well, they promise.
Can BISD raise their the increase like that school is doing?
Well,
and that's for first year teachers.
If the board, oh yeah, I know. That's why I had to repeat that at the meeting so everybody could hear it. Well, I think the issue was, and it's something that I got from talking to other board members, we don't spend enough in the classroom. That's the first thing, and that is something the board does. The board, and I've been making the suggestion since I came across the information, and I found out we spend like 54.7% in the classroom. Other high performing districts spend 80 and 90. And what was told to us, which I guess I'm letting out the little secret, when you do that, when you raise mandate how much they have to spend in the classroom, eventually they have to raise the salaries.
Yeah.
And they said there was just a roundabout way into doing it instead of just forcing, hey, you need to raise these salaries. We need to spend more in the classroom. That's what we're here for.
You raise the teacher salary. You raise the teacher salary. You're gonna raise the paraprofessionals. You're gonna raise the maintenance. You're gonna raise around the board. And then when they raise all those salaries, TEA gonna raise the retirees.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody needs to be paid a little more.
I'm sorry.
We are one of the biggest employers in Beaumont.
Who?
The ISD is one of the biggest employers in Beaumont.
Oh.
Employ over 1,000 people in the city. And if we paying them below, like I like to call a non-living wage, or you paying them pennies. Well, I mean, you're affected when they say that, is this a great place to live? Is, how much is the median salary? How are people doing? A lot of what we doing is a big piece of that pie. So raising those salaries will not only make the city more attractive, it'll make, our district more attractive. You'll be able to get high quality teachers. Somebody's just not going to come there and work for $50,000.
Yeah.
So and maybe when they're here, because they told us, y'all asked, can we go into schools? The lady said, y'all welcome to come at any time, period, walk through, whatever. So getting the chance, I'm gonna take it, so I can ask the questions. I'm real curious, ask the questions. What technically are you doing to where you can pay this much? I know they don't have the same checks and balances that school districts have and things like that. And I think they get a little extra money. But I just need to understand. And if that's the case, then whatever little extra money they get, then we need to have our lobbyists, people go in there and asking for that same amount, that same money.
Toya, did you have anything to say?
Yes, I had a question. I don't know if you answered it because I went out. 2 questions.
Okay.
Can we do can we do an information request on agenda items that board members have already requested since being elected?
Yes, and that's what for me. Instead of me sitting there and toot my horn and telling you everything I've done and put on there, which I could, I don't mind, pump myself up. But the information quiz, anybody, that's why it's called public information quiz. Yeah, you can find out agenda items, how they voted, all that.
Okay, and I have another question. You did not have to answer this, but it was
Don't ask
sent.
me if you don't want to know the truth.
Well, Kevin, I think that's why people are asking these questions.
All right, well, I warned them.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give the current superintendent and why?
On a scale of 1 to 10, putting everything in order, not just individualizing certain things. 1 to 10. I can't give no more than 5.
Okay.
And that's being nice. And I want to be nice,
And why is that?
I just don't agree with a lot of things that's going on. I don't agree with how, information is passed to us, not just in the class. I just don't agree how a lot of things are going, which in turn makes me not trust the administration, makes me not trust her. How information is passed to us, just some trivial things, some hires. We get some complaints from the public, and that's the first time we heard of certain things. And not to embarrass us, I ain't gonna say what, but yeah, it's the first time we hear some of these things, And I'm not talking about something recent because that's embarrassing too. I'm just talking about over the past months, over the past year. It's always something. We always behind the 8 ball. We don't know what's going on. So just on that personal level, and then as far as when it comes to the complaints I hear and the things, I don't, I just can't agree with it, And I'm only one board member,
And
So
Kevin, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, I'm only one board member. I only have one vote, So my my take on it is not the majority, but this is how I feel, And when I'm in there voting, the reason why I'm not voting for some things, because I don't agree. I don't mind being the only person not voting for it. Those 313 agreements. We talk about money and raising salaries. When I ask, we giving these 70% tax breaks. Is that going to help raise teacher salaries? Is that going to allow us to put some extra programs in that because reading is one of the biggest issues that we're having. They try to say school districts and schools are a pipeline to prison. When you actually read about it, it's the literacy rate.
Yeah,
that's the pipeline. It's not a school. It's not the metal detectors. Those may add to it, but it's actually having kids in there not learning, not being able to read, and you graduating. And what they're gonna do next? They can't read, can't really understand the application. If you can't read, I'm pretty sure you can't count too well either.
Yeah.
So we're failing these kids every month, every year that we don't make some real strong changes.
And I'm not being biased here, but I just would like to. You're not one of those people that tell everyone what you do behind closed doors. But way before you were elected, I called you several times to come to the school. And you were always there, you were present, and you were vocal. Sometimes you just sat back, you observed. But I just want people to know that you have always been there before you were even on board.
Yeah, and that's what goes into me wanting to help those with little or no voice. The underdog. I've always been a fan of the underdog. I just have. I think I grew up the underdog, being kind of small. I had to build myself up, martial arts, things like that, reading. To bring me to where I'm at now. And being able to articulate these things, some of these things, figure out some of these issues, and be willing. The strength of character to be willing to say these things, knowing that some people will frown upon it. Some they might not like it, but some things need to be out there. I think there's a lot of disinformation, and the reason why we are stagnant like we are. A lot of things are going on, and not everybody that needs to be is privy to it.
So you're labeled the rebel child of the group.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that?
I embrace that. If I need to be a rebel, to fight, to stand up, then that's what you call it what you want. Usually those terms are just derogatory terms to
Yeah.
try and stop you from doing those things, to deter you from doing those things. It's just words. I know
Yeah.
I am. I'm a father. I'm a martial artist. I'm somebody's son, their brother, their sister, somebody's husband. That's what I am. As far as a rebel, when it's against wrong, when it's fighting for right, hey, we're gonna rebel. You know,
And yeah. And that's a good thing,
yeah. And even if it's by myself,
Yeah.
we're gonna rebel because this is a catch on sooner or later. Somebody's gonna notice. You're gonna get some help. Like elections gonna come, and if the people favor you, maybe they'll vote. Maybe they'll listen to your advice on who to vote for, and we can keep this train going. And I have to say, many people might not like it, but I was seeing how the board was, and I asked my dad to run again. He didn't want to. I had to talk to him for the whole 4 years. When the 2 years when the election came, I had to talk to him a lot to give me more of a voice, more leverage. And he had experience. He had
Right.
experience. He's on the board for 15 years. So these are the moves I'm making. I'm not just making them putting on agenda items. I'm talking to the people in the community. I'm always encouraging. If somebody not like this, but old Joe Evans, if he be honest, he said it. I encouraged him to run. He was on Facebook complaining. I was like, you gonna complain or you gonna, step up to the plate? And he's like, you're right. And next thing I know, he put his name on the agenda. I mean, on the ballot. It's just encouraging. And may have difference of opinion,
Mm-hmm.
but if you're gonna complain, you just step up to the plate.
Right.
I mean, just because you run, I mean, you're gonna get elected. But at least you showed some effort. That's what really counts: the effort, the desire to do something. Come back again. A lot of us are. A lot of people I talk to them, they started in their 50s and 60s. Some of us still in our 40s. So we're getting a little head start if we get in there.
If you get in there. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I suggest parents. I encourage parents.
To run.
Parents, because you bring home, just like me, the problems of BSD. You bring them home, you can't ignore them. That kid come home and tell you this going on, they was fighting this and that. You hear it all.
Yeah.
And so that's why I encourage. It gives them a better perspective, just like walking through this campus. I think that it's not the quick fix, but it can work the same way. Having some kids in their school that you meet with, different schools, and find out what they think. What's going on. They
So
got
Kevin,
student leaders. Go to the student, the body, the student president
yeah.
at these different campuses. Ask them. Ask that person. I want to start. There's another thing at the governance program, a mentor program with students, to where they mirror the board, follow, and find about the process and things going. That's going to inspire some of those somewhere down the line to run. It may even inspire their parents when they come home. Oh, I did this. I learned this. Because
Yeah,
we
that
need.
was actually that was a question I was about to ask you. Well, what sets you apart from your opponents?
For my opponent that's running right now,
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm the only one that's, even though she's graduating, I'm the one that has a kid in the district. If I had it, she's been in there the whole time. I think
No,
that's one thing that.
I mean you have two people running against you. Am I right?
Yeah, them. I don't think neither one of them have
Okay.
anybody in the district.
Okay.
I don't think neither one of them have anybody in the district. And, you know, I was seated with one of my opponents. The same lack of urgency that I'm seeing from board members now. Same lack of urgency. Thinking we have time. We don't have time. The time is now. We have to do it now.
Yeah.
Every month, every year, every semester, we don't. So we have time. We graduating another kid. We send another month where this kid is not learning or not getting the things that they need from us. Regardless if it's the unruly classrooms or whatever it may be. All that and above. But we failing them no matter the reason. If we got all subs and we can't attract certified teachers, it falls on those that run the district. And being we have one employee, falls on our head too. Because just like the last takeover, a lot of things that was mentioned and stuff, that wasn't, the board's not privy to that information, but it happened. The things that was going on different campuses, you know, the check writer and the old peers from the bank account conspiring together. I was at the meeting when the man from the state come down saying there's no checks and balances anywhere, even in the government, to catch that. That's the checks and balances. There's two people doing it. The check writer, somebody write the checks and somebody's over the bank. But the board was held accountable. Why? Because it happened on their watch. Period. These things that happen on our watch. And I feel strongly about them. I feel like I'm part of a broken system. And I've expressed that, you know, to different people I've talked to, you know. But I want to fix that. That's why didn't move away, stayed in Beaumont. You know, a lot of people move, you know. In my opinion, I think a lot of times our brightest and smartest, they leave, you know. Just want something different, want to move to the bigger city. I think T even left us for a little bit. But because you get discouraged about the state and what's going on, you know. You really do. Not with just the school district, with the city. So we all, as elected, we're supposed to be having joint meetings and come together. I think we've had 2 so far. And we just continue that and really come together instead of fighting each other. I think that would be if the people see we stop fighting each other and we're working together, that'll bring the community together. But as long as we keep playing like we together and we really not, you know, these problems going to linger, in my opinion.
Well, the clock on the wall says we have to get out of here. And so I appreciate talking to you. Thank you for accepting the invitation to Blue Table Talk. And so it's putting your name out there for people to vote. So don't forget, guys, the election has already started. It started on yesterday. We not only voting for a city election, we also voting for school board. So tonight we spoke with Kevin Reese, and he gave us all the views and about the school board. And the only thing they have to do now is walk through the schools. So that being said, we appreciate you. God bless you and God keep you is my prayer. Thank you guys for tuning in to Blue Table Talk tonight. You know, you guys always have our back. And both me and Toya really appreciate you guys. And if I can help somebody, if I pass along this way, then I know that my living is not in vain. God bless you and God keep you is my prayer. Good night, guys. Good night.
One more thing, a lot of information is online. If you need to contact the board member, it's online. Just go to the BISD website, type in search board, hit the board, and then, you know, those drop menus. Because I've had high-performing teachers have issues, and I didn't know that we could call y'all. I didn't know your information was online, but it is. And I appreciate you, and it was fun.
Thank you.
You're
welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, I'm going to eat.
Go eat. That was a very good interview.
Yeah. He could talk though.
Oh no, he can talk. And the thing about it is with Kevin, like I had some people know that Kevin and I grew up together.
Mm-hmm.
So they were like, ask him this, that, and the third, because they know he was gonna answer.
And a lot of questions that you had, I already had on the paper.
You did.
I said, look at him. I didn't have that one about rating the superintendent. No. I need to keep my little job.
Oh Lord, well, you got to keep your job on the fly. When you go eat your food, wait a minute.